this is going to be great.
Welcome to the White House Pod with David A.R.
I am so excited to have Amy Charlesworth here with us. Little known, unknown fact about you, because you have this mysterious voice that doesn't sound at all like what I'm going to say next, is that you're from Nottingham, England.
I know, isn't that crazy?
See, look at that. You would think that you were like a superstar, who's lost their accent. You know how like all the Aussies and everybody, they're from
like
wherever.
their actor training.
Yeah,
the voice lessons that they have.
Exactly. Yeah. And all of a sudden they're, it's the funniest thing that how many people don't know that you're from England.
Not without me saying. I mean, my last name kind of gives it away.
Charlesworth?
I was like, where's the pinky at the end of that? Charlesworth. When you said
do you always
earlier.
have a T when you're saying your last name?
I think I should definitely have one in my purse for sure, just in case of emergency. But no, people don't know unless I tell them. Of course, usually when you meet someone, it's like, well, where are you from? And I say, oh, I'm from England. And they're like, no, you're from the Valley. You're definitely from the Valley, but no, I'm from the UK.
Do you actually did you grow up there?
I did, born and raised. I didn't move here until 2006.
Yeah, but I mean, now, see, we can't tell you people your age other than, well, it's clear she's 25 years old. Okay. Yeah. But did you graduate? Did you have high school there in England? Did they have just regular high school? Is it like 12th grade? Is it the same or is it different?
No, it's definitely different. So it's a secondary school. So they have primary school and then they have secondary school. And people graduate when they're roughly about 16 years old there because they start when they're 4.
They're smarter?
So it's a slightly different. I don't know that they're smarter, but
they certainly sound it.
Yeah, they definitely sound. I mean, they definitely have that going for them for sure. I should have that going for me, but I'm just a Valley girl at this point.
Did you have an accent when you grew up though?
I did, yeah. And so, funny story. I don't know. My sister's from Wales, and she sounds very American too, very washed out. And I just think over the course
is that how you think about all of us? Is that we sound just washed out?
No, I guess
we're
I misspoke.
American?
I misspoke. Yeah. No, I don't mean washed out, but I mean it's not as
no, it's
dramatic.
Not as, yeah.
It's a very kind of flat, neutral accent.
Okay.
And I just think over the years I just kind of lost it. And then, I moved here when I was, 16, almost 17. And so, at that point, I just kind of was around all the Americans and it just settled in. So, yeah.
Now, do your friends that you grew up with, did they have the accent?
Yeah, they still do. So, what's so crazy is my mom moved here in 95.
Okay.
And she still has an American accent. And, a British accent. So she still has a British accent. And it's just crazy. I don't know how she never lost it. But, my mom lives in Washington State right now. And she's been here for almost 30 years. She's, got the strongest British accent. It's crazy. Yeah, so I don't know. I got the short end of the stick because people see me and they're like, you're from England? And I'm like, yes. And the first question is, do you still have an accent? And it's like, oh, God, you're going to think I'm boring now.
Do you have to put the accent on? Do you do it well?
I definitely, so when I go home, which I'm going to go home in 2 months, when I go home, if I'm around my family enough, my accent just comes right back. Yeah, so just being around the environment, I guess. I don't know. It's the closest thing I can relate it to for most people is if you go to Texas, if you go to the South, and you pick up y'all and, kind of that more Southern accent. It's like that. It just kind of slips in. It's weird. I don't know. I wish it's an identity crisis, okay?
You're struggling with it?
Yeah, I'm struggling with it
Well, I'm from Kansas and I don't have an accent either. Well, maybe I do. I don't know. I lived in Minnesota for a little bit, so I kind of had a little bit of the, my mom had it. And so when I moved to Kansas, so I don't know why. I never, people were like, oh, you're going to have to get rid of your, if I ever mentioned I want to go to Hollywood or be an actor or anything, they thought, oh, you have an accent. I'm thinking, I don't really think I do. Whatever I watch on television sounds the exact same as what I'm sounding like, And so it's kind of, but when I go home though, I do pick up a few things to make me sound a little more Southern.
I would love to hear it. I want to hear you with a British accent too. I bet you
it's not good.
do a good one.
No, I've never been good with accents. It's just one of those things. As an actor, you would think, that you would do it well.
Yeah.
But I never did. But I also never went to school though. I never went to school as an actor though, to learn, normally especially if I'd gone to school in England or somewhere over there, you would learn. You always have the accent classes.
I kind of got screwed. I used to come here when I was a kid, over summers and stuff. And I was a little bit back and forth because my mom was here and my dad was there. And so as I would go back and forth, even when I went to school in the UK for like certain parts, like a couple months into the school year, people would be like, "You have an American accent," and it would like fade in and out, and they would call me Miss America and stuff like that.
I would think they would like. That's kind of a cool thing, though.
No, they would make fun of me.
Oh,
Yeah,
they
I
would.
got made fun of totally. Like
Are they snobby English people? Oh, those people are very snobby.
I remember the first time I came to an American school, I was very briefly here in elementary school. I think it was like 5 or 6. And I had a really thick British accent. And a lot of kids made fun of me then too. So it was like, you can't win no matter where you go.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Well, I don't know. I think you have a very cool, the fact that you don't sound at all like you're from England, yet you are, is super cool. So,
Oh, well, thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
all right. So you have an amazing story. Like, I'm fascinated with your story. The fact that not many people would have any idea. If you can guess, what in the world did she do for how many years? 16 years? 16 years out of high school. Where did you go for 16 years? Like, you would think, well, let's see. Was she an astronaut? What was it? Maybe she was in the space program, Was she,
That would be like the last thing people.
Or were you like a race car driver? Were you in politics? Or did you go into military?
I would think, like, just looking at me, a lot of people are like, is she an OnlyFans star? Or.
Well, yeah, you look like a model, like an actual model. Like you would walk up because you're tall too. What are you, 5'10"?
5'9",
5'9", yeah. So you look like a runway model.
I really appreciate that you like listed off some really cool things that you're like, is she an astronaut? Like, that's so cool. That's
Well, I
like
would
my
say
dream gig
astronaut,
right here.
race car driver, supermodel, or someone who was in the Army for 16 years.
I would love to be a race car driver. I was in the military. Yeah, I was in the Army for 16 years.
Yeah.
So very, very random. I joined when I was 17.
Now, I think everybody's question right now then is do they have calendars in the Army, and then were you like on the calendar every Miss July,
Oh my
Miss
gosh.
August, Miss
Yeah.
Did they have calendars in the Army?
They definitely did not. They I think it's they
actually
probably did that like 1950s.
I actually thought she was going to say
like
they
a pinup
definitely
girl.
did.
No, like maybe the 1950s. No, but they don't do that anymore. Women are getting a little bit more.
Like we can't
respect.
take a picture anymore and look good on that in a hard hat.
You know what they did do though? Like some really cool stuff. So because I was in the recruiting and retention field, so it was part of like a lot of marketing stuff. I did get plastered all over the side of like buses
See?
and trains and like billboards and stuff like that. Join the military,
Yeah.
So yeah, I did get that.
So the
but I wasn't on
military
a
didn't
calendar.
miss on that.
They didn't miss on that. Yeah, they took advantage.
Some of the smartest people in the world are over
I
there.
didn't get paid for it though. I was like, wait, what? Like, you guys are like totally capitalizing.
It's like a college student who plays football.
Yeah.
Or who used to, that whole same
the
thing.
NCAA thing.
Yeah, that whole thing. Okay, so you're in the military for 16 years. Fascinating. How in the world, do you go into the military? Was it a dream? Was your dad in the military?
No.
Was
you
your
guys,
mom in the military?
That's the craziest story. So I got my first job when I was 13. And so after school, I would like get on the bus. I would go downtown Nottingham. This is all in England. And my dad like supported me getting a job. I really wanted to work. And so I got an internship at a hair salon. So I was there for almost 3 years. And when I was about 17, I asked my dad, I was like, can I join the military? And he was like, no daughter of mine is going to join the military. Like, that's not going to happen. You're going to be a hairdresser. Like, this is your path. And downstairs from the hair salon that I would go to every day, there was like a Royal Army recruiting office. And so like the guys were like, fine. Like they were in a beautiful uniform. They were handsome, debonair. I mean, all the things that you would expect of like a well put together.
Do they look
military
like the guys out in front of Nottingham
with
Palace?
the large hats?
Yeah, with the large hats. Is
They
that
were
what you're
not
looking
like
at?
that. They were not like that. No, they were just in like the dress down uniform. And anyway, they were so fun, and they were definitely
Did they have a
recruiters.
horse next to them?
No, but I would have 100% signed up that day had they had a horse. That was a big miss for them. They should have definitely had a horse. No, so I just chatted with them, and they definitely had me hooked. I wanted to join the military
At
for
17,
sure.
right? You're 17?
At this point,
Or
I was
18?
like 15 and 16 during these conversations.
Okay.
And I was 16 when I graduated from school there, and then I moved to the U.S. That summer.
Is it because you're like looking at these military guys going, wow, they're so dreamy and I'm in love that I'm going to follow them
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
I was
Because
looking
it's the man in the uniform, that whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when you watch like Top Gun. I mean, like who doesn't want to be married to all of those pilots and like those tough guys? I mean, it's like I was an impressionable teenage girl.
I know,
you know
you're
what I mean?
15,
Like
16.
I'm
I do
looking
not
at these
want
guys and I'm
my
like
15 or 16-year-old to go
Yeah.
hang out at the military recruiting office.
Exactly. My dad was like hard pass, hard no, you know, and I was like, but I'm in love, you know, like these guys are so handsome. So anyway, I begged my dad. He said no. So I was like, okay. Well, I was going to see my mom that summer. And so I went and saw my mom and I was like, Mom, I really want to join the military. And she was like, okay, let's go. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, let's go down to the office. We'll sign you up right now. I was like, my 17th birthday was August 31st. So right at the end of the summer, I had a ticket to go back to England and I didn't use it. And I didn't tell my dad I joined the military. And
Wow.
yeah.
You're 17 or 18?
I was 17. Yeah. So my mom signed for me to join the military.
How did your
And
mom feel about this? Was she like, hey,
She was all
sure.
for it. She was all for
Wow.
it. So supportive of it. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because that was your dream of yours, or because she didn't want you in her house any longer?
Probably the latter. Probably the latter. She's probably like, get her out of here. Yeah. No. I mean, my mom. I have 10 brothers and sisters. Did I tell you that? Yeah, I have 10 brothers and sisters. So I'm sure she was like, look, I could do better with 9. So, yeah, government, take her off my hands. Yeah, so my mom was like all about it.
Were you the oldest? Were you the oldest?
Second
or youngest?
oldest.
Okay.
Second oldest, yeah. Yeah, so we went down. I signed up for the military, and I was on a permanent residency at the time. I didn't even have an American citizenship. So
Did any of your other brothers and sisters go into the military?
no, I was the only one. In fact, none of my family. The only person that I'm aware of being in the military is my grandfather on my dad's side, and he was in the British Army. So yeah, other than that, like that's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go down there, you join the military, you go through basic camp,
Basic
right?
training. Yeah, I went to Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they got me hooked. They had like 20. This
Was
was
it
like
120 degrees?
it was so hot. I don't even know how hot it was. We
It
didn't.
was in the summer, right?
Yeah, it was at the end of summer and into fall. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it was crazy.
How was basic training?
So I got really lucky. I was already pretty athletic as a kid. Track team, you name it, soccer. So I could already like beat a lot of the testing requirements. So when I signed up, it was during the height of the Afghan and Iraqi wars. So this is 2006 that I joined. And so they were doing a lot of like experiential boot camps where they were trying to expedite it. Normally boot camps are between like 9 and 12 weeks. The ideal length is about 12 weeks. And they tested me along with a lot of other people, and they selected me to be part of a 7-week cycle. Which is like advanced because you can already pass a lot of the testing. So I got lucky. I was 17, super in shape, like very athletic. I loved it. I mean, I had the best drill sergeants.
Is it all female or do they mix?
Oh no, totally co-ed. Yeah, 100% co-ed.
Wow.
So I was going through with males,
Okay.
and I had male drill sergeants too. I had a couple female drill sergeants, but they were the best. And I had this guy, I think he was from like Alabama or something, that was one of my drill sergeants, and he like really leaned in. I was so appreciative of this guy. And he really taught me how to shoot well, do all the stuff that I needed to do, land navigation, I mean, all of that. And if it weren't for that guy, I probably would have like crumbled because it's like sink or swim. I mean, you mean
like in the when they're yelling at you to do whatever, the push-ups or the staying up all night or whatever, they're also saying you can do it. He was like speaking life into you.
Yeah. So there's when guys and girls, when people go through drill sergeant school, the whole philosophy is like break you down and then build you back up. And all of this is done in a structured setting. So they are not cool to you. They're not nice to you. They don't like you the first few weeks that you're there, and they make you know it. And then towards the end, like they definitely like lighten up, and that's intentional. Like they're yelling at you with purpose. They're breaking you down with purpose. They're really trying to, kind of have you drop and forget any ego that you brought to the table. And instead of it being about you, it's about the team. So like they're really trying to have you. It's a mind game. Like the whole thing is mental. And so they do a really good job. So this guy, though, the one that I'm referring to went above and beyond. He was very much like a father figure. He was an older guy. He knew I was a kid as well. I was one of the youngest people there.
Yeah, 17.
He knew I was a kid, and he just constantly was like, "You got this." Like I was a PFC, which is a private first class. I had gotten a higher rank because I enlisted a bunch of people with me. He was like, PFC, get over here. And he would teach me breathing exercises so I could shoot better. And just, he really set me up for success. So I'll never forget that. Yeah.
Wow. Do you know what that guy's name is?
No, I wish I knew. I'm sure. I know I had one that was like Drill Sergeant Drummond. He was really cool. And I have a book with all of their names on it and a T-shirt, so I know I could find it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing. Like when people come into your lives at some point in time and they lift you up, because there's only like a handful that I remember doing it in my life in certain ways. And one of them was my school librarian. Was the only person that ever said you could go into the entertainment industry if you wanted. When I was in my little town in Kansas,
I love that.
Debbie, and I can't think of her last name right now.
Thanks, Debbie.
Thanks, Debbie. Exactly. But it's funny how like they are so instrumental in your lives for and you can remember their face, you can remember that conversation, and a lot of times you don't remember the names though.
Yeah.
It seems like
He was definitely one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I
I mean,
love
and you
those
were going
moments.
through a lot at the time too. Like exhausted.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, those little moments, especially in times like that when everything else is taken away from you, right? No cell phones, there's no internet, there's nothing. And at that time, there's no social media. I mean, there's nothing. And so to have someone just be like, look, you got this, like take an extra breath, that little act can literally change the course of your entire day. Just like help you. Oh, I do got this. Yeah.
All right, so you leave South Carolina then, right? Where do you get stationed?
So, I was in the Oregon Army National Guard. And so, Oregon Army National Guard and National Guard in general, it's 1 week in a month, 2 weeks in the summer. So you have a choice. You can, kind of go active duty, which is like Title 10. It's basically active duty, but it's within your state. Or you can go full-time active duty, which is like, you're going wherever the military ships you. So I went back to Oregon, and I actually ended up working full-time for the military, but in Oregon. And I went through a bunch of courses. So right after basic training, I enlisted as a human resource specialist, which I had no idea what that meant.
Yeah, I don't have any idea either. Other than I think you stamp some stuff, right? And let people go.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're like fired.
Something like that. So I went through this course and I loved it. I actually got really lucky to even get human resources. And so I naturally fell into like recruiting and retention. So I actually went through a bunch of schools with the military after that. So I stayed in South Carolina for a hot minute. I went through recruiting and retention school over in Arkansas right after. And just kind of went down that path of like becoming a proper military recruiter and military marketing and military human resources.
Given the fact of when you first were 15, 16, right? Those memories of whatever it was that convinced you, did you use that in the military recruiting?
In terms of like putting my swag on?
That or like putting a good looking guy in there with a horse and a big hat?
No, I cavalry, I guess, has horses. I wish. That would be so cool. You know what's so funny is like people are like, oh, you probably were like a great recruiter. Recruiting is hard for the military. I don't think a lot of people know like, only like 3% of the United States population is even eligible to join the military. Because there's so many factors. It's like you have to have, your legal life put together, your medical health put together. Like you can't be allergic to pineapple. That's real, by the way. You can't be allergic to pineapple.
Really? What if you're allergic to like everything else?
You can't join with any allergies.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
like no allergies. Even like hay fever is a big red flag. It's kind of funny. Like, do you know what it's like to join the military?
No. Well, apparently I'm looking at the people because because I have allergy. My allergy. We had this conversation before.
You're disqualified.
I know. I've totally been disqualified because I have allergies. Yeah, it was the worst. Growing up on a wheat farm with allergies was just miserable. This was like, sometimes I would get shots of whatever, some kind of steroid or something to get me through the summer harvests.
Moly.
Yeah. Point is, though, is I would be disqualified from the military no matter what I did just because I had allergies.
I knew it the moment I saw you. I'm
Yeah,
like, this guy would not cut it. Yeah. Yeah, no, so it's crazy. So like it makes it tough. I mean, you can have a million conversations, but like someone actually passing all of the qualifications to join the military.
What else? What's like the number one flag that people that you would see in the recruiting? Was it allergies? Was it medical? Was it something to do with their head? Was it drugs? Like what was it?
I think where I was at the time, so I was doing a lot of recruiting out of Portland, and a lot of folks would have a really hard time passing the ASVAB. So when you join the military, when you try to join the military, you go through a station called MEPS. and it's military entrance processing station. And they basically put you through like a million different zones of things you have to go through. And one of them is testing. So you have to take it's an ASVAB. You have to take a test, and it's tests you on all kinds of factors.
What does that stand for?
Aptitude, vocational. I don't. I don't remember it.
Anyway, it's a test.
It's
though.
a test. Yeah,
Okay.
it's like I think they do it on the computer now, but some of them do it on paper, and it's like math, English, mechanical, engineering, like all these different factors, and a lot of people fail that. You have to get a certain score, and the government, based on
Do you think they fail because they're nervous while they're taking it?
I'm sure that's one factor.
It's like trying to take a driver's ed class.
Yeah,
here
but if you're nervous taking a test, you're probably going to be a little nervous getting shot at. Right?
Probably true.
Yeah.
There's probably some truth to that.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
And then they're like, out.
Yeah, get out of here, kid. Yeah. So that's the biggest thing is the ASVAB. I think people don't pass that.
Do they take that on a computer, or do they print it out? Is there
They
like a
got
printout?
two versions available. So they on the computer is one option. I think they do that at the actual map stations. They have computers now. But back in the day, when back in 2006, they were doing it on paper. So I did it on paper.
By the way, on a side note, because my son just recently passed the DMV test.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and that's a big thing because he waited forever, and kids today seem like they don't care about driving very much either. But the interesting thing is that he failed I think Ethan would be okay if I say this. He failed twice
I did too.
because of the computer. And it wasn't
that
until
was the
somebody.
computer's fault.
Well, the first time he didn't study at all because he thought he's a smart kid, so he just thought he could just breeze through it. And then he realized, holy cow, there's a lot of stuff here.
Yeah.
And he studied, and he missed it by like 2 or 3. And then the third time, somebody said, you need to print it out. If you print it out, you have time to go back,
Oh yeah, that's
and you
smart.
don't have to just answer it. And oh shoot,
Yeah.
So you can actually go back and change your answers if you have a printout.
that's so
and then he
smart.
passed, no problem.
Yeah, well, I should have done that. I what's embarrassing is I'm 33. I just took my California driver's license just this last month.
Oh, how was it?
I failed it twice. I failed it twice.
They say actually though, there's some kind of stat that says California is like the hardest thing which is probably good though. It keeps it, it's not like we have a shortage of drivers out there. We
You're
have
totally safe driving with me,
yeah.
even though I took it twice.
Did you just had to take the written, right?
Yeah, it
To
was
get
just the written.
You didn't have to drive.
No,
Yeah.
no,
You're
I just
used
took
to
the
driving tanks and everything.
Exactly. But I'm just like, I don't know. I guess the pedestrians got the right of way, right? Right?
Yeah, we have some weird rules here.
Yeah, there are some weird rules.
All right, so this is I love this stat that you're where is it? It's the one where you're jumping out of the helicopters. The Army, the Air Assault School and Army Rappel Master School, and you were the first ever. Go ahead. I'll let
Army
you finish.
Rappel Master?
I don't know. Did I say that right?
Rappel, but I could get down with a
did
little
I say
rap.
rapper?
Yeah. Do you need me to do a little
Yeah.
freestyle? Yeah, I got this.
Yeah, or rappel.
Yeah, so I had asked for 8 years. I thought it was pretty cool that people could jump out of helicopters and rappel out of them and things like that. If I could go to school for that. And because I'm a girl, they were like, no, girls don't pass this course. And they were like very negative about it and very sexist. And I finally, on my 8th year of asking, I asked my leader, who I owe so much to.
Do we know his name?
I do. It's Sergeant First Class Carter. I think he got promoted. I don't know, Master Sergeant Carter.
Like Aaron Carter?
His name is Aaron Carter.
Interesting.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
Well, there's a lot of Aaron Carters.
Yeah, his name is Aaron Carter. And I owe a lot to him because he was the first male to be like, you can do this. For sure, you can do this. And he sent me to that school. And so I went to Air Assault School, and 300 people show up on 0 day. I don't know, like 100, 150 people wash out. I mean, it's a very tough course. This is not an easy course to go to. And I was the first female to make it on 0 day through the obstacle course that washes most people out. And so I got through that course, and that was like, I was actually trying to find a photo to show you because
Is this day one or what day is this?
so
you're
when I
doing
graduated from the course, it's a 2-week course.
Okay.
But it's like 2 weeks of hell. Like it's not an easy course to
Is
get
basic
through.
training easier than this?
No, basic training. Oh, sorry. Basic training is way easier.
Oh.
Way easier.
Okay.
This it's just basic training's longer because this is, air assault's only 2 weeks, but basic training was 7 for me. But
You're up and down in helicopters, right?
it's really, really hard because it's not just jumping out of helicopters. It's sling load operations. So a lot of people don't know what that is, so I'll describe. So it's a helicopter is carrying like pallets, like loads. Sometimes
Yeah.
you'll see a helicopter in a battle carrying like a Humvee or something.
Like pallets of Zip Fizz or something?
Yeah, exactly. All the essentials.
Yeah, essentials like toilet
pallets
paper
of
and
lip gloss, all the things that you really need in
hair
battle.
gel, like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Hair extensions, all of that. So someone's got to like rig the helicopter up, right? So that's part of the air assault qualification is to do that.
like
and so,
loading it? Is it like
no, it's like actually like connecting it to the helicopter,
Oh.
making sure the weight is correct, making sure like all the straps are how they need to
Wow.
be. I mean, it's a very like technical course. So it's not just a physical course, which is it's very physical. It's also a mind course as well. It's mental. So you have to get through studying. It's very challenging. You have to be very technical. You need to know helicopter parts and weights and speeds.
Now, do you have your team to depend on though in some of these?
Everything you do in the military, it starts individual, like making sure you are good so you can be good to the group. But at the same time, yes, to answer your question, you can study as a group and things like that. And I mean,
Can you say, hey, great, you take care of the helicopter whatever statistics or whatever stats?
no.
And then
It's all
I'll take
individual
care of the-
testing. Yeah.
Oh,
no, it's
okay.
all individual testing. So you can study together, you can prepare together, you can train
But you
together,
gotta
you can
know it
work
all
together,
yourself.
but you have to pass the test too.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's very, very difficult to get through. And so anyway, so I did that. And that was like the first, like, oh my gosh, like I the proudest, one of the proudest moments of my life. I literally idolized these people for 8 years and always wanted to go. And so the minute I got my wings, because at the end of the course,
Yeah.
when you do your final ruck march, you're exhausted. It's been a rough 2 weeks. You get handed on the end of your ruck march. I'm just getting goosebumps now. It was seriously the proudest moment of my life. They hand you your wings. And I remember getting my wings and I'm like crying, like I'm exhausted. The back of my feet are peeling off. I'm like exhausted. I'm just like, I got my wings. Like it was just like so amazing. But to sweeten the deal, Master Sergeant Aaron Carter, he was like, hey, I got something to tell you. You're going to Rappel Master course right next. And Rappel Master, no one gets to go. It's like a very, very rare course to go to. And when I went, I was the only female there, the only female to show up. None of the people that were training had ever seen a girl come. And so I'm number 12 in the history of women to be in the military to pass this course. And only 14 male or females have ever passed the course from Oregon, period.
Wow.
So it's a pretty crazy course. So in that course, you're in that course, you're training to teach other soldiers to rappel off of towers and things like that, and rappel out of helicopters.
You're
and
teaching them how to do it.
you're becoming the Jedi.
Oh.
Yeah. There's more courses like that get you more advanced and,
Yeah.
like rescue operations and things like that. But like this is like
Do you get a plaque for that, or how did?
I didn't get a plaque, but I did get an award. Yeah, or I got
What's
an
the
award and I
award
got
look
like a fancy little thing. Yeah.
Do you frame it, or did you?
I didn't
you
frame
put
it.
in your
It's probably,
house somewhere.
it's probably like propping up my, something.
Your book?
crazy. Yeah, like it's probably propping up my makeup station or something. I don't know. But it's really just cool.
Did you
Just-
ever use that in the military then?
Oh,
Did you
yeah.
ever go and propel out of?
Absolutely.
Rappel out
So
of?
I'll give you an example. So part of the recruiting and retention team that I was on, we're signing up a lot of high school students as an example. Not all high school students. Some people are, 30, 40 years old. But they come to a course on the weekends that prepares them to go to basic training. It's called RSP, so Recruit Sustainment Program. And we trained them how to rappel off of towers and things like that. And so I would use it in those moments. Yeah.
Okay, wow.
So.
Okay, so now you didn't just stop there though. You also didn't you do tours? Didn't you go to?
Yeah, I was in Afghanistan.
Afghanistan?
Yeah, I was in Afghanisan from 2010 to 2012.
Was that one tour or two tours, or how
It's
do they break that
considered
down?
two
Okay.
because it's like 6 month. The mark of whether it's 1 or 2 is a 6 month mark, and so I was there long enough for it to be
Two
two
tours.
full tours. Yeah.
Wow. And what are we carrying in HR, right? I want to say H&R, but it's not H&R, it's HR. In HR, do you carry a sidearm? Do you?
Well, depending on your rank. So a lot of the sidearm allocations depend on, like, if you're an officer, depends on, where you're going to be, allotment to that unit, what type of unit. There's a lot of different factors. So for me, I did not carry a sidearm. I had an M4 though. So very.
What does an M4 look like?
It's
Do we
like,
have a picture of an M4?
it's AR-15 is the civilian equivalent.
What's your favorite gun to shoot?
I really like the 30-06 personally. I'm guessing a lot of gun enthusiasts would be eye rolling. I don't know. I love the 30-06. Very classic. It's kind of like the bolt action, manual. It's very cool.
Do you have one of those?
No, I don't.
California.
California.
I think California encourages you to have those
no
guns.
guns.
No. All right. So you get out of the military because we have to wrap up here. And because you just got out of the military not that long ago.
Yeah, it was April 2022.
Like a year ago.
Yeah, April 2022.
Wow.
Yeah.
You just had your anniversary.
I know.
Wow.
I know. I should celebrate.
Okay, so we get out of the military, and are you happy? Like, can you see how long before you got out of the military were you like, I'm looking forward to that, to being done with it?
I was actually in the middle of commissioning. I wanted to go be an officer leading infantry units and be one of the first females to do that. And I was on track to do that. And
You had a photo shoot instead that you had to stop and take pictures?
I was like, it's very
instead?
inconvenient for my modeling schedule. No, it was right. I got out right when Biden was pulling everybody out of Afghanistan and how traumatic that was.
Oh.
And I went through this kind of moment where I was like, what am I doing this
You
for?
weren't in Afghanistan then.
At that time, no.
Wow.
But I was going through training to become an officer.
Wow.
I was slated to be an infantry officer and take over an infantry unit after training.
And go back.
And deploy wherever
Wow.
I may be asked to go. And I just had a moment where I was going through training and I was just like, why am I doing this? I think a lot of me just wanted to prove I could.
Yeah.
And, as I saw the troops pulling out of Afghanistan and that was done, just my own personal opinion here, that was done horrifically.
Well, yeah, it looks just, the video is just like,
I was there, and I made friends with Afghan people. And, I had relationships there. And in fact, there was one particular individual, one of our translators that is still there was still there during that moment. And a bunch of our team that were over in Afghanistan worked together to get him and his family out before it was impossible and they would have been killed. For sure, they would have been killed. And I just had this moment where I was like, why am I doing this? I hate this. I would hate to give everything I have my whole life, go back into a war zone like this, and then just for all to be for nothing. Because in my opinion, the way we pulled out, it's all for nothing. I spent that time over there for nothing. And I just feel like it was time for me to part ways. 16 years is a long time. And
yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't want to throw my life to chance at that point. Yeah.
And now you started a new business.
I did.
Recently.
Yeah.
And what is this? What's this new business? And can you and how do people get involved in it? Because it's a pretty cool business.
Oh, thanks. So I have a couple of things going on. So I just started a company called Q Talent Agents. And
so like qtalentagents.com, or how do people?
Yeah, so qtalentagents.com. And because I was
like the letter Q?
Letter Q, yeah. Because I was a recruiter for so long, recruiting and retention, and been in human resources for, almost 20 years now total. I just decided, it's time to start my own thing. And one of the key parts is, we're actually starting a nonprofit too to help soldiers. So people that are leaving the military, they often don't have a resume. They don't know how to interview. They don't know what to wear. They don't know how to find work. So I'm basically, creating an organization that's going to help people find work, help people find jobs. So staffing, recruiting, hiring. We're even going to do a division of casting as well for more focused towards military veterans to help them find cool opportunities. I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool, actually. I mean, hopefully, I don't know that military does. You should get a military contract for that.
I think so. Yeah.
They should contact you right away.
Take it to the stock market.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm excited.
It is such a pleasure to have you on here, and you have just such a fascinating story. Okay, so if people want to get a hold of you, or how do they follow you? If you want, do you like people following you on your social
why
media?
Not? Yeah, we can be friends. Yeah, I'm at QNAMY. That's Instagram.
That's Instagram. There you go.
Instagram, yeah.
All right.
That's the easy one.
It's just, Amy, you're awesome.
Thanks.
Amy Charlesworth.
Well,
Ladies and gentlemen.
Wait. Where's the pinky?
Well,
We talked about it.
I was supposed to be doing the pinky as well?
Yeah, we can both do it.
Okay, Amy Charlesworth. Do we do it on Charlesworth?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
That works.
You try that. Amy.
Charlesworth.
There it is.
Yeah.
All right. Try to tune in. We have amazing guests like Amy Charlesworth. and many, many more. We're from the White House with David A.R. White on iTunes, iHeart, YouTube. Tune in. Appreciate you guys. God bless you, and make it a great day.